I'm going to teach you a great trick with 4 aces. In another video, I taught you how to cut to 4 aces, and I said, wouldn't it be great to have a trick with the 4 aces? And here it is. In this trick, the aces mysteriously gather, and the spectator makes all the decisions. Stay tuned to the end, where I'm going to offer tips and advice on how you can be successful with this trick, and I'm going to tip a very special magic secret. It's one I used in the demo, but it didn't make the lesson part. So I will tell you about that at the end, a little magician secret. So let's get started. 4 kings. I'm gonna do a little something with the 4 kings. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deal 3 cards. Doesn't matter which cards, but just 3 cards on top of each king. Okay, so far, so what? What I'd like you to do is please cut the cards and complete it. Excellent. You want to do one more? Or are you happy with that?
Let's keep that.
Okay, I'm going to deal out the cards. All right, you cut the cards, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, what I'd like you to do is take your hands. I'd like you to cover two of the packs. Just cover. Okay, those 2. Okay, let go, please. Thank you. We'll eliminate those. We have 2 packs left, and I'd like you to put your hands on the 2 packs, please. And I'd like you to push one towards me, please. Okay, perfect. You can move your hands. Now you cut the cards. Free choice.
Yes.
Could have gone anywhere. And we just had you make a series of decisions here. What would be interesting if these 4 cards just happen to be the 4 kings?
Very nice.
Here's the explanation for the 4 aces or 4 kings. I just happen to use kings. You can use aces, queens, whatever you like. And by the way, this is a good follow-up trick to do after you do a 4 ace production, which I do teach in another video. We'll probably put the link somewhere up here so you can go to that trick. Really no setup other than you need the 4 of whatever you're going to use. And in this case, I'm using the kings. So just as we did in the demonstration, you take 3 cards and deal them on top. 3 cards, deal them on top. 3 cards, deal them on top, and 3 cards, deal them on top. Now at this point, it is legit. You do have a king at the bottom of every pile. Now, gather the cards. And at this point, you seemingly mix the cards, but you have several techniques working in your favor here. So first of all, you can have them cut the cards. Now, cutting the cards does change this pack, but the key thing is it doesn't change the order. There's still 4 of the 4 of a kind that you're working with, and they're in a certain order. They may not be the first of them may not necessarily be at the top or second or wherever it is in the deck, but the key thing is when you deal the cards out again in a standard manner, what happens is the 4 of a kind end up in one of the piles. Now you don't know which pile it's going to be in, but they will end up in one of the piles. So no matter how many times you cut the cards, after you collect them all together, they're all together. So that's the first phase. Now, second phase is you have to be able to tell where your 4 of a kind is. Now, you may have noticed I just immediately knew where they were, even though they could be anywhere. So what I would suggest is, what you can do is just kind of casually gather the cards, like do kind of a sloppy layout here, and then what you do is just kind of straighten up the cards, and at that point you can glance at the bottom card and see where your 4 of a kind is. And at this point, spectators don't know they're together. You're just kind of casually straightening up the cards like that. And then once you know it's here, then you're ready for the second part of the trick. Second part of the trick is called a magician's choice. You make it appear that the spectator's making all the decisions, but they really aren't. So if you go back to the demonstration, you'll see how it worked, but it's never the same way, or it's rarely the same way. So what I like to do is just tell the spectator to put their hands on two of the piles. So they can put their hands on any of the piles. No matter which piles they put their hands on, you just remove them. Unless it's the one that has your four of a kind. So let's do that. So let's say they put them here, or here, or here. You would just remove those two. So if they put it here, these aren't the four of a kind, so you just remove them. They put them here, that would be the four of a kind, you remove them. They put them here, you remove these two. So let's say we removed two of the piles. Now we're down to this one. Now at this point, you know the four of a kind is here, and you want them to pick this one. So you ask them to point to one of the piles. If they point to this one, you remove it. If they point to this one, then you say we're going to keep it. So if they point to this one, you remove it. No matter what they say, you always come down to the one, and then you can show them that you have the four of a kind there. Now I have one more secret on how I did the trick, and I'll fill you in the thoughts and insights, which is a little bit more of a magician technique. So you'll be able to do the trick just with what I gave you here, but stay tuned for the prologue, and I will explain one more bit that will make this trick even more powerful. This trick combines a card trick with a magician's choice. The spectator thinks they have a free choice, and it makes a very powerful effect. Remember that you can use any four of a kind. I just happen to use kings. You can use aces, queens, jacks, whatever you like. It's all up to you. This trick relies on a simple mathematical principle. As long as you just cut the cards, the aces or kings, whatever you use, are always 3 cards apart. And thus, when you deal into the piles, spectators think the deck is all mixed up. But the cards are in a special order, and the aces all gather in one spot. Regarding the spectator's choice, now I used a method where I had the spectators, during the demo, I had them cover 2 of the cards. Now there is a more powerful way, but there is a drawback, which I'll explain. You could have them point. So let's say you have 4 choices of these 4 piles. The spectator points at a stack of cards. Now, according to the rules, the magician rules that is, you will actually remove cards or leave cards in depending on the stack that the spectator pointed at. I think you have that part. But what's interesting about pointing is there's a 1 in 4 chance, a 25% chance that the spectator will actually point to the pile with the 4 aces. And in that case, if they just point, you remove all the other cards, you show them to be the indifferent cards, and then you can turn over the pile they pointed at, a free choice that has the 4 aces. Now, if they don't point to the 4 ace pile, then you have to start eliminating, and then you're going to have 3 times, up to 3 times, where you're going to have them point, and you either eliminate or keep in the stack. So that's why I prefer to use the method as shown in the demo, where I had the spectators take 2 of the hands and cover the decks, and that way you immediately eliminate 2 of the piles, and then at the end, then they can point to one of them. And of course, whatever their decision is, they will always end up with the aces, but I think it's a cleaner way to go, although you still can have the spectator point and you have that amazing payoff. It'll be up to you. And now for that magic secret. You'll notice that in the teaching part of this video, I showed you how to kind of gather the cards and sneak a peek at the bottom card to see which pile the aces are in. Well, if you notice in the teaching demo, I didn't actually do that. I knew immediately where the aces were. How did I know? I used a gambling and magician technique called marked cards. I actually marked the back of the 4 kings. Each king had its own marking. So here's a couple suggestions on what you can do. The classic method is to use a pencil dot. You get a pencil and you just make a light dot in the white corners of your 4 of a kind. And that way, by glancing down, you can immediately see where the aces are. Second method that I would recommend is if you have a blue back deck, maybe get some blue ink, or a red back deck, get some red ink, and then take the back pattern and find a spot where you can discreetly color in a little of the same color of the back. Now, to spectators, they won't know what to look for. But to you, as long as you know where that mark is, all you have to do is glance down and you'll immediately see it. Now, even though I've given you those 2 methods, I'm going to tip what I did. I promised you. So what I did was, it might be fun to go back to the demo and see if you can spot it, because I'm going to tell you it's in the upper right corner to you and the lower left corner to you. So no matter which way the card is oriented, there will always be a mark in the upper left corner. What I did was I took the bicycle back and I took a blade, a sharp edge, and I just rubbed off a little of the ink in a discrete spot. And by looking at the back of the card, immediately I can tell where the aces are. It's very obvious to me, but if you don't know what to look for, I don't think spectators would ever notice. And yes, this is a technique I've used in my professional work. Sometimes I'm in a situation where I need a certain card selected. I need to make sure that card was selected. So I would mark the card in this very manner so I could tell, as well as the other manner with the red ink on a red back card. So anyway, I hope that works for you. Anyway, hope you liked the trick. Hope you have a lot of success with it. Please give us a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.